Okay, I have 12 on the dot, so we might as well get started. Today's class will be a mix of some balancing, some strengthening, but also many opportunities to relax and tune in. As always, it's helpful to have the long edge of the mat towards the screen, but it's not mandatory. And there will be one portion where it can be helpful to have blocks available. So feel free to take a minute to get any equipment you'd like, get settled. I do apologize, I'm not in my usual space today. For those attending live, I'll probably need to move the iPad as we go so that you can see me at a good angle. But let's all slowly come to our backs, ideally with the screen to your right. You can get settled with your feet flat on the mat, knees bent. See how it feels to walk your feet out towards the edges of the mat and allow the knees to fall in. Take your time getting there. Allow the earth to support you. I know the Zoom view has me a little bit headless, but I promise you I'm here. Let's turn into the breath. Taking stock of how the body feels today. Maybe scanning from the top of the head, noticing any tension present there. Allowing the face to relax, the forehead to smooth out. Allow the jaw to fall forward slightly as you continue your breaths. Feel the shoulders root back in towards the earth. And notice the entirety of your spine sinking in towards the mat. Feel the arms getting heavy. And take stock of any tension in the fingers. Scan through the thighs, the knees, the legs and feet, allowing your breath to smooth out any tense areas. Invite some movement into your fingers and toes. Maybe circle the wrists and ankles. And let's bring one knee into the chest and the other knee into the chest. Not squeezing too hard, just engaging in a low back Uppanasana maneuver. You can rock back and forth, side to side to really massage that low back. Pause for stillness in the middle and see if maybe you can separate the knees a little bit so that the knees are heading towards the armpits, almost like a setup for a happy baby posture. From here, you can use the palms to make circles with the knees, starting with relatively small circles and maybe progressively going larger as tolerated in your hips. We can reverse that movement to make the circles go in the opposite direction. And if it's easier, you can always hold one leg still and circle the other leg in isolation. Aim for movements that are slow and smooth. Excellent. When you're ready, let's pause for stillness in the middle. And now let's send our feet back onto the mat, knees bent. Arms will come out to the sides, either in a T position or in a cactus position with the elbows are bent if you don't quite have enough space. Let's shift the weight in your feet over to the outer aspect of the right foot, inner aspect of the left foot, and notice how the knees tilt towards the right. Shift the weight in the opposite direction to allow them to tilt towards the left, engaging in these small and slow windshield wiper movements, making sure we're not feeling any pinching or discomfort in the low back. If you do notice that, just make your windshield wipers a little bit smaller. You can experiment with bringing the knees a little closer to the earth every time. No need to make them flat onto the earth at all. Reconnect with the breath. I like to inhale the knees up and then exhale the knees to the side. Notice what you're doing and see if it might feel interesting to change it up. So if you usually inhale the knees up, exhale as you bring the knees up, and inhale as I go to the side. It can feel very disorienting, but puts us in a beginner's mindset. Keeps these simple movements interesting for us. Great. Even at the sides, and allow the knees to pause in the middle. From here, we're going to press into our hips to lift them up slightly, shift them over towards your left, and plant them down. Let's raise one foot up off the mat and raise the next foot up off the mat. Allow the knees to fall towards your right in a twisted position. You can use a blanket or pillow underneath the knees if it doesn't feel comfortable for them to be all the way onto the earth. Totally okay. Notice if your left shoulder has come up off of the mat and try to plant it down firm and see how it feels to turn to your left to look away from your knees. We'll pause here in this twist. If this is feeling good, I invite everyone to try and extend that top leg. You're gonna get a detailed view of the bottom of my foot. See if you can reach towards the toe and grab the big toe with your pinky fingers, or maybe the outer aspects of the feet. This is a great stretch for the IT band. If you've been doing a lot more running and walking in the nice spring weather, it can feel really good to stretch this out. We'll pause here for 3 more breaths. On your next exhale, let's bend through that top leg, and from your core, slowly draw your knees to the middle. Press into your feet to raise the hips, bump them over to your right, and settle them down on the mat. Pick up the feet and allow the legs to fall over to the left while keeping your right shoulder blade firmly planted on the mat. You can turn to look over your right shoulder away from the knees. Again, feel free to prop up the legs with any sort of pillow or blanket or block if it's feeling a bit intense in the back. Notice how the breath naturally makes this a dynamic maneuver, feeling the spine lengthen as you inhale, and naturally feeling the body settle into the twist more as you exhale. I invite you to see how it feels to extend through that top right leg, maybe grabbing the toes, and really feeling that lengthening, that opening throughout the outer aspect of the right thigh. We'll be here for about 3 more breaths. On your next exhale, bend through that top leg if it was extended, and slowly drag the knees towards the midline, plant the feet, and bump the hips back into midline so that your spine is feeling like one long straight line. From here, let's bring one knee into the chest, bring another knee into the chest. Option to once again rock and roll out to massage the back in this Upasana maneuver. We'll get a little bit more movement going as we take our hands, place them behind our thighs, bring the knees to the chest, and experiment with rocking and rolling up a few times. I invite you to, as your legs come forward, bring your feet together, knees apart, so you engage in a mini Baddha Konasana or bound angle stretch. Rock back, open the knees, and tilt forward slightly. This can be a nice way to open up the hips a little bit. If this isn't working well for you, feel free to simply pause in your bound angle. You can raise and lower the spine for a very similar effect. If you're rocking and rolling, let's all pause in our bound angle or Baddha Konasana with our feet together, knees apart. You can bounce the legs up and down a little bit too, just to make sure that there's no tension happening, and totally okay if the legs are up here, still getting benefits either way. Excellent. From here, we're going to engage in a twist. So we're going to bring our right foot and put it towards our bum, placing the leg down on the earth. We're then going to take our left foot and put it on the outside of the right leg. Let me tilt down so that you guys can see the setup a little bit more. There we go. Take your right arm to hug in that left leg and reach up and over with your left arm, fingertips pointing away from you as they meet the earth, to twist, looking over your left shoulder. Pause here. Once again, feeling the inhale lengthen the spine and the exhale naturally deepen the twist. Now we're going to move to a supported side plank. To do this, take your right hand, place it underneath your right shoulder. You've got your bottom right leg bent. Extend out that leg and press on up to raise your hips ever so slightly. You can play between the twist and this by bending the leg, hugging the knee in, turning to the side, and then palm under the shoulder, extend out the bottom leg, raise the hips. Great, looks really good. If you're really craving to pause in one of these poses, feel free. Otherwise, we'll play between these for another 3 to 4 breaths. The next time you are in your side plank, let's pause here. Turn to look down at your right hand. Turn your feet and place your palms side by side so that we're coming into a plank position. Option to come onto the knees at any point in time. We'll pause here, feeling our core activating for 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Let's all bring our knees down. Sit back towards our heels and make sure we're more or less towards the front of the mat with a little bit more mat real estate behind you. Okay, let's do the same thing next side. So this time we're going to take our left thigh, bring it in and place the left foot near the bum. We'll then reach up and over with the right leg, placing the right foot outside of the left thigh. Good. Hug the leg into the chest with the left arm. Reach up and over with the right arm. Fingertips pointing away from you. Let's return to the breath. Feeling the opening and release in the body all the way from the hips through the shoulders, maybe even through the crown of the head. Great, let's play with our side plank. So let's spin out our arms, place the left palm below the left shoulder, extend out that left leg, and press into your left palm and right foot to come into your supported side plank. Good, yeah. You should have the right leg in front of the left leg. Good, awesome. play between these positions, moving on your own time with your own breath, knowing that it's okay to pause in stillness at any point. We'll be here for another 2 to 4 breaths. The next time you're in your side plank, let's pause here. Turn to look down at the left hand, spin the toes out, place the palms side by side, and step it back into a plank pose, either on knees or on your toes. We'll pause here for 3, 2, 1, and let's all bend through our elbows, meeting onto the belly. You can put the feet together, knees apart, as we press up and back into a child's pose. Reaching forward with the arms, returning to the breath. From here, let's press up into the legs, slowly rising into a kneeling position. Now, if this doesn't work well for your body, if you have sensitive knees, I do recommend putting some padding under the knees or folding the mat up and over to give yourselves a little bit more cushion. All right, from here, let's shift our weight over to our left leg. Step forward with the right leg. Totally okay to take some time to get there. As we prepare for a low Anjaneyasana lunge. For the lunge, reach the arms up and back, feeling the opening through the front of that left hip. On your next exhale, sweep the arms back, shift the weight back, arriving in an Ardha Hanuman half splits. You can sweep the arms behind you if you want a balance challenge as you lengthen through the front of that right leg. Doesn't need to be perfectly straight. If the balance challenge is not working out, totally fine to place your palms on either side. Let's play between these two maneuvers. Inhaling to reach up and back for your Anjaneyasana lunge. And then exhaling to sweep the arms back, lengthening through that front leg. As always, feel free to pause in one spot if it feels particularly therapeutic and useful to do so. We'll be here for another 2 to 3 breaths. The next time you're in half splits, we'll pause here, plant through the left fingertips or left palm, and reach up with the right arm, turning towards that extended right leg. Feeling a bit of a twist happening. Great. Windmill down that front right arm. And let's slowly rise on up to our Anjaneyasana. Now, we have a few options here. We're going to end up back in our kneeling position. If you want a bit of a challenge, you can place your hands on your hips and see if you can float that right leg off the mat so you're balancing on your left knee, and then step it back. If your knees are sensitive, do not attempt that. It's something that you can try, but it's not at all mandatory. So let's do the same thing next side. Shift the weight to the right, step forward with the left foot, reaching up and back as we arrive in our Anjaneyasana lunge. Exhale to lengthen through the front leg, sweep the arms back. Play between these positions at your own time and your own pace, alternating between feeling the opening on that front right hip and then the lengthening through the back of the left leg. Just another 2 breaths, take your time. And when you're ready, we'll meet in the half splits position together. This time, let's place our fingertips down on the right hand and reach up with the left arm, tilting the torso towards that left leg. Pause here, feeling the opening the back of the left leg, with the side of the left body, and the support of the right core. Let's windmill that left arm down, option to simply step back to a kneel, or if you want to try the balance, rise on up. See if you can float the left heel off the mat, hands on the hips, and then bring it back into a kneeling position. Excellent. Let's give our knees a break as we place our palms down a little bit farther than our shoulders, tuck under the toes, and send the hips up and back to our first downward dog. Pedal out the feet, feel the opening throughout the backs of the legs and hamstrings, really pushing out of the arms so that we can feel the back lengthening. Once you've arrived in your downward dog, we have an option to either step the left foot up to the front or raise the left heel and then bend it and shift the weight forward to plant the left foot between the palms, coming into a lunge position. When you're ready, squeeze the legs together for some stability and reach up and back into a high crescent lunge. Since we're going to be doing more stuff in a standing position, I'm going to see if I can readjust your angle a little bit here. Okay. All right, so we have our left leg forward, reaching up and back into our high Anjaneyasana, feeling the opening through the front right hip. Let's now sweep our arms back and tilt the torso forward while maintaining that bend in the front left knee. Inhale the arms up and back. Exhale to sweep the arms forward and back, coming into alignment like you're about to take off. The next time you're in your lunge with the arms back up in the air, we'll pause here. And then let's windmill that right arm out to the side, planting that back right foot so that our front toes are pointing towards the short edge of the mat, back toes are pointing towards the long edge of the mat. Ooh, let me see if I can demonstrate the position for you guys here. So front knee is bent, toes pointing forward, back leg is straight. Coming into a warrior two or Virabhadrasana 2. Totally okay to do this from the kneeling position as well. Let's reach forward with our left palm and then send it back, coming into an exalted warrior. From here, we're going to windmill our arms forward, planting them on the earth to frame that front left foot. Let me reposition this once more. I think we'll get a good happy medium here. Good. Plant the right palm, twist towards the left leg. Let's windmill that left arm down to frame the front left foot. Step it back into a plank position. From here, push up and back to downward facing dog, pedaling out the feet. We're going to do the same thing next side. I'll leave you folks at this kind of halfway position with the screen. Hopefully you can see the angles a little bit better. Okay, so for the next step, you can either simply step forward with the right leg or raise the left heel into the air for a three-legged dog, bend through the right knee, shift the weight forward, and then step the foot in between the palms. Take your time getting there. Squeeze the legs together for some support and reach up and back into our low Anjaneyasana. High Anjaneyasana. Next, let's shift the weight forward, sweep the arms back so that our body is in one long straight line from the top of our head to the back of our left foot. Inhale up and back.
exhale to sweep the arms forward and back. Play between these two poses, moving on your own time with your own breath. Perfectly natural to really feel the hips activating and working to support you. The next time your arms are up in the air, take your left arm, spin it out to the side to come into a Virabhadrasana 2 or Warrior 2. So you can see that front right leg is bent, straight through the through the back left leg. Pause here. Let's flip our right palm up towards the ceiling, reach forward and send it back into an Exalted Warrior. Your left arm can go behind your back or pause onto your left leg for a little bit of light support. Recommit to that bend in the front right knee. From here, let's reach up and over as we windmill our arms down to frame the front foot and twist towards the bent right leg. Windmill down that top arm and then step on back to a plank position, either on toes or knees. This time, let's do a Chaturanga flow. Shift the weight forward, bend the elbows, coming all the way down or halfway, and then pressing up on the inhale into Cobra or Upward Facing Dog. Press through the arms to send the hips up and back to Downward Facing Dog. Pedal out the feet. We'll be taking a break soon. And we'll pause here for 3, 2, 1. Let's all bring our knees down and take a little mini water break. All right, we've got about 15 minutes left together. The next sequence will be very similar to the one that we just did. So feel free to simply repeat what we've done. You'll get all the same benefits, as I always say. There will be the option to add on a few more balance poses, and you're welcome to try that too. I want to make sure that these classes are accessible to everyone, so never feel obligated to do anything that I'm doing. It's not that one's necessarily harder or easier, it's just about where you're at today and what you're feeling like. So when we're ready, you can spin out the wrists for a little bit of a break. And now let's place the palms down onto the mat a little bit farther forward than the shoulders, tuck under the back toes, and let's press up and back into our Downward Facing Dog, also known as Adho Mukha Svanasana. This time, I encourage everyone to try to shift the weight towards the right foot, lift that left heel into the air for a 3-legged dog. On your next exhale, bend through the left knee, shift the weight forward, and then step the left foot up between the palms. Squeeze legs together to rise on up into your Anjaneyasana lunge. Once you're here, instead of doing the maneuver that we did before, you are welcome to get a little bit light in that back foot and step up with your right knee towards your chest, arms back, like so. I'll demonstrate a few times. Exhaling as you're bringing up the knee, inhaling as we step back. I'm going to repeat this a few times. Feel free to join me or move at your own pace. Really feeling the power throughout the left leg supporting this maneuver. If you've been following along, the next time your leg is in the air, let's pause here. Place your left palm on the outer aspect of your right thigh and reach up and over with your right arm to come into a bit of a standing twist, just like we did on the earth. If this is feeling super stable, option to grab your toes or the outer aspect of your right foot and kick into it to lengthen it. Wherever you're at, this is great work. For those who feel super stable, want a little extra, option to release your foot, slowly tilt it back as you tilt towards the earth in a twisted half moon position. Let's now all step back with the right foot, coming to meet into a warrior two. So your front left knee is bent, right leg is extended. We're going to immediately exalt, reaching up and back with the left arm, placing the right fingertips onto the right thigh or behind the back. Let's windmill the arms up and over to frame that front left foot. Twist towards the left. And then windmill down the front arm, stepping it back into your version of plank pose, either on knees or on toes. Let's shift the weight forward, then through the elbows, either coming all the way onto the earth or halfway, pressing on up to a cobra pose or upward facing dog. And then on your next exhale, sending the hips up and back to downward facing dog. Good job, everyone. So we're gonna do the same thing, next side. Pedal at the feet. I encourage everyone to give it a shot. Shift the weight to the left foot. Raise the right heel up into the air for your three-legged dog. Then through that front right knee, bring the knee towards the nose as we shift the weight forward, and then step through the palms. Rise on up to your high crescent lunge, reaching back so you're really feeling the opening through the front left hip. Option to simply sweep the arms back like so, or feel yourself getting light and springy in that back foot, and stepping up so that the left knee meets towards the chest. Play with your version for a few breaths, either following along with me or proceeding at your own pace. Making sure that whatever you choose, you're joining the action to the breath. The next time your left leg is in the air, we'll pause here. Option to take your right palm, place it on the outer aspect of the left thigh, and swing your left arm open towards the side for a standing twist. Really feel that right leg working to support you. If you're feeling steady and stable, option to maybe hook those left big toes and extend out through the left leg. If you'd like, you can release the leg, sweep it back, and come into a half moon position. I think my right leg is tired because it is wobble city over here. Wherever you're at, let's bend through that front leg, step it back with the left leg, and reach up and back into exalted warrior two. Let's windmill the arms to frame the front foot, raise the right arm as we twist towards the right bent leg. Sweep down that right arm, step it back to your plank, and once again, shift the weight forward, coming either halfway or all the way down, pressing on up with the inhale, and then pressing back to downward facing dog with the exhale. Let's all pause here, take your time getting here, for 3, 2, and 1. Excellent. Let's bend through our knees. Come into a comfortable seated position or kneeling position. Give your wrists a little bit of a break. Maybe grab some water. Excellent. We have about 10 minutes left. So we're going to do a little bit of core work and then a nice lovely cool down in Shavasana. If your wrists are feeling up to it, I encourage everyone to hold a long plank today. And I'm going to give ourselves maybe about 45 seconds to a minute. So totally possible for this to be done from your knees. I'll leave it up to you to decide if you want to come onto your forearms for the plank or all the way down. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Having your palms on the earth rather than forearms can be a little bit more for the shoulders, but I find I have to bend my feet more for that, and it doesn't feel as comfortable for me. So I'll be doing a top of the push-up plank. Totally fine to do it from the forearms, totally fine to do this from the knees. So you can start thinking about which option you might like to choose, and I will get ready with my stopwatch soon. All right, let's prepare for our planks, and we'll get ready to hold in 3, 2, 1. Now, the whole point of this is not to see how long we can hold our planks, although I know that feels like the point. It's really just to give ourselves an opportunity to not only test our physical strength, but our mental strength. So notice how you're feeling. Notice any responses, negative or positive, that are coming up in your mind. This has already been 30 seconds, folks. We're doing great. Feel free to take a break at any time. And we are about to reach 45 seconds. Hold on for a few more. We'll take a break in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Amazing. Let's all come to the knees if you weren't there already. Lower down onto the mat. And everyone, just come onto your belly. Little slumber party position here. You can prop yourself up on the elbows. Rotate out the wrists. Feel free to kick the legs into the air too, if that feels good. Can release a little bit of tension. Congratulations, everyone. From here, we're going to simply roll over onto our backs. We've earned it, I think. So take your time getting settled on your back. I'll change the position of my Zoom screen again for those who are attending live. Excellent. Let's bring one knee into the chest. Let's bring the other knee into the chest if you weren't there already. And let's rock back and forth. So the nice thing about holding a plank is we can see how we've kind of psychologically responded to that. If you met your goals, it's very tempting to be very excited and to create a narrative for yourself about how super awesome. But we have to be careful with that because some days we won't be able to make our goals, and it still means we're super awesome. Great. All right, let's place our feet down onto the mat, about hip width apart. You can even bounce your legs up and down a few times to find a spot that feels natural. We'll place your palms down onto the earth beside the hips, and you guessed it, we're setting up for bridge pose. So let's press into the feet to flatten the low back against the mat, and continue to press to feel that journey of the hips rising up into bridge or Setu Bandha Sarvangasana. On your next exhale, let's lower the spine vertebrae by vertebrae. Now let's do the same pose, maybe reverse the inhale and exhale for something a bit new and different. So inhale, and then exhale to press into your feet and raise your hips up into the air. And then when you're ready to inhale, lower the spine vertebrae by vertebrae. It can feel a little weird. Let's repeat that one more time. Exhale the hips up into the air. See if you can really press into your feet, into your shoulders to raise them. Feeling super strong. And then inhale to give the hips a soft landing onto the mat. Tick-tock the knees a little bit side to side to release any tension that's developed throughout the back. No need to go too far down close to the earth. Great. Let's bring our knees towards our armpits like we did at the beginning of the class. And if this is feeling good, I invite you to reach between your knees with your arms, grab the outer aspects of your feet, and kick on up into a happy baby pose. The challenge here is really trying to flatten the sacrum against the mat because the bum will want to go up.
See if you can flatten it downwards, and you can even rock side to side. It's a happy little baby. You can experiment with lengthening through one leg and then lengthening through the other, noticing if maybe there's a little bit more mobility, a little bit more flexibility than at the start. Let's release our happy baby, feet coming into the mat, knees knocking inwards. In these last few moments, feel free to do any other movements your body is craving. If you're ready for Shavasana, feel free to flop on out into your corpse pose. Maybe you want to do another bridge or plow pose. Maybe a little bit more rocking and rolling side to side. Wherever you're at, take your time to join us in Shavasana. We'll lift the chest, place the shoulder blades beneath the torso, flop the hands out to the sides, palms facing up, fingers naturally curling in. Good. Feel free to adjust to fit your space if you need to bring your arms in a little bit if objects are getting in the way. Allow the feet to flop out to the sides, and if it feels okay to do so, I invite you to close your eyes and tune into the breath. Notice any feelings or sensations that are coming up and do your best to just let them pass by. The thoughts and feelings will come up, but we'll let them float by and we'll make a conscious choice not to engage right now. Settle into your Shavasana. I will keep an eye on the clock to make sure that we leave around 12:45. If you find your mind wandering, you can really tune into your breath, asking yourself, where do you feel it most prominently? Is it the air passing in and out of the nostrils, in the throat, maybe in the rise of the chest or belly? If the breath isn't really anchoring for you, you can also try and tune into your heartbeat and see if you can actually feel those tiny beating sensations throughout your chest. You can count your breath or your heartbeats, and every time you hit 10, restart the count. Let's invite some movement back into our fingers and toes. Use that momentum to roll the wrists and ankles. Find your way towards your side, really any side. And then slowly press on up to a seated position, taking your time. Great, the clock just hit 12:45, so our class is over. Thank you very much for spending time with me today.